The stars were quiet. Too quiet. Beyond the known borders of the Galactic Empire, past the last mapped star system, a patrol group had gone silent. Not just one ship, 7. All part of the Empire's outer rim defense line. Routine check-ins. Stopped. No distress call, no signal, no wreckage, just nothing. Commander Dax Virick stood in the war room on Imperial Station Theta, staring at the empty sector map. Red dots that once marked the patrol fleet were now gone. Vanished. They should have checked in 6 hours ago, said Lieutenant Mara, voice tight with worry. Dax didn't answer. He was already reading the latest report from the deep space. Sensors, nothing, no energy signatures, no life signs. No debris field. It was like they'd never been there. Send a second team, he said finally. Murmurs spread through the room. A second team? That wasn't standard protocol. Usually? You send scouts first? Small ships. Quiet ones. But this wasn't usual. This was something else. The mission begins 2 hours later. The Starblade and its crew of 30 left the safety of the Empire's core systems. Behind them, the glow of civilization faded into darkness. Ahead empty. Space and silence. Captain Relkova was no stranger to danger. He'd fought pirates in asteroid fields and survived mutiny on deep space runs. But as he looked out the cockpit window, all he saw was black. Too much black. This is Captain Kova, he said over the comms. We are entering Sector 7X, all. Systems green. No response. He frowned. Control, do you read me? Still nothing. He turned to his communications officer, Jem. You picking up anything? Jem shook his head. Static, only static. That wasn't normal. They were still within range of the relay beacons. Kova leaned back in his chair. His gut told him something was wrong. Very wrong. Slow to half speed, he ordered. Engage. Passive sensors only? No active scans? His crew obeyed without question. They trusted him. And right now, his instincts screamed danger. Minutes passed. Then an alert flashed on the main screen. Movement, said Tactical Officer Lyra. 3 clicks ahead. Everyone tensed. Visuals? Kova asked. No image, Lyra replied. Just movement. Like something's there, but we can't see it? Kova stared at the dark void ahead. Bring us closer, slowly. The Starblade crept forward. Then, contact. Lyra shouted, but before she could say more, every light on the bridge flickered, and then went out. Darkness falls for a moment. There was silence. Then emergency lights came on. Dim red glows barely enough to see by. What the hell was that? Kova demanded. Unknown, said engineering. Power surge. Or something hit us. Shields? Still up? Weapons? All systems down. Kova cursed under his breath. Get comes back online, now. Jem was already trying. Nothing. I'm getting nothing. Kova stood up. We're not alone out here. Lyra looked at him. Sir? I don't know what it is, he said. But it knows we're here. Suddenly a low hum filled the air. It wasn't coming from inside the ship. It was outside, like something was watching. Listening. Waiting. Then flash. Not bright, not fire, just absence. One of the escort ships behind them was gone. No explosion. No warning, just gone. Report. Kova barked. We lost Vanguard, someone shouted. No signal. No trace. Panic rippled through the crew. Status on the rest of the fleet? Another officer checked. 2 ships missing. 1 damaged. Kova clenched his fists. Fall back. Fall back now. But before the order could be carried out, another flash, and another. Then silence. Complete. And total silence. No COMMS. No voices. No alarms. Just black. The aftermath. Back at Imperial Station Theta, Commander Dax Virick stared at the broken signal. Feed. It had cut off mid-transmission. No screams. No warnings. No final words. Just silence. Then a new message blinked onto his console. From the Starblade. Only one word. Run. Dax felt ice crawl up his spine. He opened the file attached to the message. It was the last recorded data burst from the Starblade. Sensor logs. Audio files. Final camera feeds. He played the video. At first, there was nothing but static. Then a single frame. Flickering. Darkness. In the center of the screen. Something moved, not fast, not loud, but present. Watching. Then the screen cut to black. And the final audio clip played. It was a whisper, not from any known language. Not from any human voice, just a sound, a feeling, and then a voice. Low, dogfold, unfamiliar. They were never heard from again. Dax sat back, heart pounding. Outside, the stars burned quietly, but somewhere far beyond the edge of the Empire, something had woken up, and it was coming. The stars were not silent anymore. Back at Imperial Station Theta, Commander Dax Viric sat alone in the dim light of his office. The last message from the Starblade still echoed in his mind. They were never heard from again. He had played. The final data burst over and over. There was something out there, something real. And now it had taken 2 full fleets without a single shot fired. Then, against all odds, a signal came through. Weak. Broken. But alive. A lone return. It was the scout ship Erebus, one of the smallest vessels ever sent into deep space. Its mission had been simple: follow behind the Second Fleet and gather passive data. It wasn't supposed to go near Sector 7X, and yet, here it was limping back toward known space, its hull scorched, systems barely holding together. Imperial Command. "This is Erebus," came a shaky voice over comms. "Requesting emergency docking clearance." We're the only ones left." Dax's breath caught. "Only one?" The Erebus docked slowly, like an old ghost returning home. As soon as the airlock opened, medics rushed inside. What they found chilled them to the bone. There was no sign of battle damage, no fire, no blood. Just silence. Then a weak voice called from the back, "I'm still here." They found him curled up in the corner of the command deck. His uniform was torn, his eyes wide. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. His name was Pilot Joran Vale. He was the only survivor. The survivor speaks. Joran sat in a cold room under soft lights. He stared at the table. Didn't blink much. Didn't speak unless asked. Dax leaned forward. "What happened out there?" Joran didn't answer right away. Then softly, "It saw us." Dax frowned. "What saw you?" Joran looked up. His eyes were red, not with anger, with fear. "The dark," he whispered. "It moved." Dax exchanged a glance with Lieutenant Mara. "We lost contact with the Starblade and the others," she said gently. "Did you see what happened?" Joran nodded slowly. "They were just gone, like they were never there." "How?" Dax pressed. Joran swallowed hard. "We followed them." "We kept our distance. But when we got close to Sector 7X, everything changed." "What changed?" "The lights flickered. The screens glitched. Then," he paused, then he whispered, "it started watching us." Dax felt a chill crawl down his spine. "What do you mean, watching?" Joran looked straight at him. "It wasn't looking with eyes. It was more like feeling, like it knew we were there, like it felt us." Silence filled the room. Mara broke it first. "Was it intelligent?" Joran shook his head. "No, or maybe yes, I don't know. But it noticed us." He leaned closer, and then it tried to touch us. Shadows that moved back on the Erebus engineers worked quickly to recover any remaining data. Most files were corrupted, but one video feed survived. Just 30 seconds. Dax watched it with a group of high-ranking officers. The screen showed the inside of the Erebus cockpit. Everything normal at first. Then the lights flickered. A shadow passed across the wall, not from anything inside, something outside. It moved slowly, too. Slowly, and it wasn't solid. It was like darkness itself had come alive. Then the camera cut out. "That's not possible," one officer muttered. Dax stood up. "We need to shut this down, now." "But we still don't know what it is," Mara argued. "We don't need to know," Dax said. "We just need to stay away." But even as he spoke, another alert flashed on the main console, a new signal, coming from Sector 7X. This time, not from a ship. From something else. Something that wasn't human, and it was broadcasting. Over and over. In every language. In every code. "You are seen." Final warning. That night, Dax stood alone on the observation deck. The stars burned bright above him, but somewhere out there, something else was watching. He thought about Joran, about the Starblade, about the 7 ships that vanished without A trace dot, and now this presence was sending messages, not threats, warnings. You are seen? What did it mean? Was it reaching out, or was it calling something else? Dax didn't know, but he knew one thing for sure. They weren't alone, and whatever was out there, it was still watching. The message echoed through every databank, every archive, every forgotten file in the Galactic Empire. You are seen. It wasn't a language. It wasn't even sound in the normal sense. It was more like a feeling, a deep, cold whisper that crawled into the minds of those who heard it. Commander Dax Virik sat alone in the central data vault beneath Imperial Station Theta. The room was dim, lit only by soft blue lights and floating screens filled with old records, alien scripts, and ancient war logs. He had spent hours searching. No match, not in modern databases. Not in old military files. Not even in the oldest known alien texts. Whatever had sent that message, it didn't exist in any record. A search for answers, Lieutenant. Mara entered quietly. We've gone through everything, she said. Every known threat, every enemy we've ever fought. Dax looked up, and she shook her head. Nothing. This thing doesn't match anything we've ever seen. Dax stood and walked to the main console. He tapped a command, a holographic. Display lit up a timeline of every major space event in the last 1,000 years. Wars, discoveries, lost ships, vanished colonies, and there, marked in red, were the disappearances, 7 patrol ships, the Starblade fleet. Now, the Arubis barely made it back, all from the same place. Sector 7X. Mara pointed at the screen. We've never lost contact like this before. No distress calls, no wreckage, just silence. Dax nodded slowly. I want every AI system to run full spectrum scans. I want every expert on alien tech pulled in. I want to know what we're dealing with. Mara hesitated. You? Think it's possible we're not looking at a ship or a weapon? What if it's something else? Dax looked at her. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. Echoes from the past hours later. The first real clue came, not from a scientist. Not from an engineer, from a historian. Dr. Lauren Vex was one of the few still alive who studied pre-Empire myth stories passed down from early spacefarers. Most dismissed them as legends, but now they might be the only lead. Vex stood in the briefing room, his voice calm but serious. There's an old tale, he began, from the first explorers beyond the core worlds. They called it the Silence. Said it lived in the dark places between stars. Mara frowned. A myth? Vex nodded. But myths often come from something real. And this one is repeated across multiple cultures. Different names, same story. Dax leaned forward. What did they say it was? Vex met his eyes. They said it wasn't alive, not like us. Not like anything we know. They said it wasn't evil. It didn't hate. It just erased. Silence fell over the room. Erased? Mara asked. Vex nodded. It didn't attack. It didn't fight. It just made things not exist anymore. Ships, people, whole worlds. Dax felt ice crawl up his spine. You're telling me this thing has been around for centuries? Vex shrugged. Maybe. Longer, maybe always. Fear spreads. Word leaked fast. Even though the Empire tried to keep the truth hidden, rumors spread like fire. Something out there had taken entire fleets without a trace, something no one understood, something not in any records. Fear gripped the outer colonies. Trade routes near Sector 7X were abandoned. Pilots refused to fly past certain zones. Even high-ranking officers started asking questions. One officer confronted Dax directly. We need to send another fleet. We can't just sit here and do nothing. Dax stared at him. And do what? Send more people to vanish? You saw what happened to the Starblade. The officer looked away. We have to know what we're fighting. Dax turned to the window, watching the stars burn far away. We don't even know if it can be fought. The message returns that night. Dax sat alone again in the data vault. Then the signal came. Again. Loud. Clear. In every language, on every channel, even in dead ones. You are seen. This time, it wasn't just a whisper. It was a warning, and then something new, a second line, appeared on every screen, written in symbols no one recognized. But somehow, everyone understood. Do not look again. Dax stared at it. His heart pounded. He didn't move, didn't breathe, because for the first time in his life, he knew fear. Real fear, not of death, not of war, but of being seen by something that didn't belong in the universe. Now, it knew where they were. The message was clear. Do not look again. But the Empire didn't stop looking. Commander Dax Virik stood in the war room, staring at the glowing text on the main screen. The words had appeared across every military channel, every civilian network, even ancient alien frequencies that hadn't been used in centuries. It wasn't just a warning. It was a command, and they were about to break it. Dangerous Plan High Command had made a decision. They would try to make contact, not with weapons. Not with ships. But with words. A team of linguists, AI specialists, and deep space signal experts had spent days preparing. They built a transmission using the oldest known peace protocols codes, once used during first contact with alien species. Long gone. It was meant to be safe, meant to be calm, meant to say, we mean no harm. But some people knew better. Dax stood beside Lieutenant Mara as the final checks were made. This is a mistake, he said quietly. Mara looked at him. We have to know what we're dealing with. Dax shook his head. No, we don't. We already know enough. She didn't answer. Behind them, the signal was ready. One press of a button and their message would go out across space. Into Sector 7X.2. Whatever was waiting, the signal goes out. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. Transmission active. Silence followed. Everyone in the control room watched the screens. No response. No movement. Just static. Then a pulse. Not from their system, from out there far beyond the edge of known space. Something had heard them, and it was answering. Contact confirmed, said the lead technician. Unknown source, no visual, just energy readings? Dax felt his stomach tighten. What kind of energy? The tech checked the data. It's growing. Before anyone could react, alarms blared through the station. Power surge detected. Shields dropping. Something's coming through the signal. Lights flickered. Systems glitched. And then the message changed. On every screen, every channel. Every device connected to the network. It wasn't a reply this time. It was an answer. You should not have spoken. The attack begins. The lights went out. All of them. Emergency power kicked in, but it was weak. Dax grabbed Mara's arm. What just happened? She was pale. The signal, it wasn't just heard. It was felt. Outside the station windows, something shifted in the dark, a ripple. Like water. But in space. Then a ship vanished. Not exploded, not damaged, just gone. Then another. And another. 4 vessels guarding the outer ring of the station disappeared in seconds. No sound. No flash. No wreckage. Just empty space where ships used to be. Panic spread. Officers shouted. Crew ran, but nothing could stop what was happening. Dax stared at the main screen. The message was still there. You should not have spoken. And now there was more, a second line, appearing slowly, like it was being written in real time. Now you are known. The cost of curiosity back. In the war room, Dax tried to regain control. All ships, fall back, cut all comms. Shut down every signal. But it was too late. The damage was done. Reports came in fast. More ships lost. Entire relay. Stations gone silent. Even deep space outposts thousands of light years away started losing power. It wasn't just attacking the fleet. It was spreading, or maybe it was just noticing more of them. Mara turned to Dax. What do we do now? He didn't answer right away. He looked at the stars. The darkness between them. At the place where something had woken up. And now it had names. It had voices. It had targets. Finally he spoke. We run. Mara blinked. That's not like you. He met her eyes. I've seen what happens when we stay. Outside, the stars burned, but somewhere far away, something new had begun, and it had started with a single message. Hello. The stars still burned, but now they felt like eyes. Commander Dax Virik stood in the dim glow of Imperial Station Theta's command deck. Outside the reinforced glass, space was quiet again. But it wasn't peaceful. It was watching. After the failed transmission, 4 more ships had vanished without a trace. No distress call, no explosion. Just gone like they were never there. The Empire had pulled back all remaining forces near Sector 7X. No one wanted to be next, but silence didn't mean safety, and hiding didn't mean it wouldn't find you. Scientists tried to understand. Back in the research labs, experts worked non-stop to understand what had happened. Dr. Kaylin Myra, head of the Empire's Advanced Threat Analysis Division, stood before a group of high-ranking officers. Her voice was calm, but her words carried weight. "We've run every test we can," she said. "We've analyzed the energy readings from the signal. It's not just powerful, it's something we don't have the technology to match." "Lieutenant." Mara frowned. "You're saying we can't fight it?" Kaylin looked at her. "I'm saying we don't even know what it is." She tapped a control panel. A hologram appeared, a visual representation of the energy spike from the message. "This isn't just a weapon," she continued. "It's not even like anything we've ever seen. It doesn't use heat. It doesn't create force. It just removes things." "Removes?" someone asked. Kaylin nodded. "It doesn't destroy, it unmakes. Like turning off a light and forgetting it was ever on." Silence filled the room. Mara looked at Dax. "If we can't fight it, what do we do?" Dax didn't answer right away, because he didn't know. Panic begins to spread across the Empire. News of the disappearances leaked. At first, the government tried to keep it quiet. They called it routine fleet movements. Then technical malfunctions. But people saw through the lies. Ships vanished. People went silent. Something out there wasn't just watching anymore. It was known them. And that changed everything on civilian channels. Rumors ran wild. Some said it was an ancient alien god. Others believed it was a new enemy, more advanced than anything the Empire had ever faced. A few whispered something worse. What if it's not even alive? Panic grew. Colonies near the outer rim started evacuating. Trade routes shut down. Pilots refused to fly past certain zones. Even military families began asking questions. What if it comes here? The truth hurts. Later that night, Dax sat alone in his quarters. He stared at the last recorded message from the Starblade. Run. He thought about pilot Joran Vale, the only survivor from the Erebus, about the shadow that moved on its own, about the whisper that came from nowhere. You are seen. Then he thought about the newest message. Now you are known. That was the real danger. Not weapons. Not war. But being noticed. By something that didn't need to fight. Because it didn't see them as enemies. It saw them as noise. And now, it knew where they were. Dax exhaled slowly. He opened a secure channel to High Command. One request. No more transmissions. No more attempts at contact. Just silence, because sometimes the only way to survive is to be forgotten. Final warning. Hours later, another alert flashed across the station, a new signal coming from Sector 7X. This time, it wasn't just repeating the same message. It was learning, or maybe remembering, on every screen across every system. A new line appeared. You speak too much. Then everything went dark. Every light, every screen, every voice. And when the power returned, only one word remained, burned into every display, like a warning written in fire. Stop. The Empire made a final decision. They had to know, was it possible to fight? Could they win, or at least survive? Commander Dax Virik stood on the command deck of Imperial Battle Station Aegis, watching as the largest fleet ever assembled moved into position. It wasn't just ships, it was hope. The last chance to prove that the Galactic Empire could stand against whatever waited in Sector 7X. He didn't believe it would work, but orders were orders, and fear makes people do dangerous things. The last Hotha Armada stretched across space like a wall of steel and fire. 50 warships, 10 dreadnoughts, 5 carrier groups, thousands of soldiers. It was the strongest force the Empire had ever sent beyond its borders. High Command believed this time would be different. We're not going in blind, said Admiral Wren, standing beside Dax. We've learned from the past. Dax looked at him. Double quote. No, We've only seen what it does to small ships. Now we'll see what it does to an army. Ren ignored him. All units, prepare for jump to Sector 7X, maintain full shields and silent running. No transmissions unless ordered. The signal went out, engines roared to life one by one. The ships vanished into hyperspace, toward the dark, toward the unknown, toward death, arrival in silence. They arrived without fanfare. No explosions. No enemy. Contact. Just silence. Sector 7X loomed ahead, empty space. Untouched by stars, scans show nothing, reported Tactical Officer Lyra. No energy readings, no movement. Admiral Wren nodded. Double quotes. Good, that means it's not here. Dax didn't answer. He stared at the void. Something was wrong, too. Quiet. Too still, like waiting inside a breath that never ended. Then a pulse. Weak. Like a heartbeat in the distance. Sir? Lyra said, eyes wide. We just lost contact with Rear Squadron Delta. What? Wren snapped. No reason. No warning, just gone. Another pulse? Stronger this time? Shields are holding, someone reported. But something is draining power from all systems. Dax stood, order full retreat. Wren turned to him. You don't give orders here. I'm giving you a chance to save lives. Before Wren could argue, a flash, not bright, not loud. Just absence. One ship gone, then another, then three more. No. Explosion. No debris. No sound. Just empty space where ships used to be. Panic spread. Report. Wren shouted, we lost 6 ships, no contact. Where did they go? No idea, Lyra's voice shook. It's not attacking us. She looked at Dax. It's erasing us. Nothing left to fight. The fleet tried to regroup. They fired weapons. Nothing. Hit anything. They launched drones. All signals cut off. They sent escape pods. Never heard from again. Fall back. Fall back now. Wren finally shouted. The order went out. Every surviving ship turned. Engines ignited. They tried to run, but it didn't matter. More. Ships blinked out, one after another, like lights being turned off. By the time the first ship reached safe space, only 4 remained, out of 50. No bodies. No wreckage. No survivors. Just 4 broken ships. And one final message blinking on every screen. You should not have come. The truth is clear. Back at Imperial Station Theta, Commander Dax Virik watched the survivors. Return. Broken. Silent. Empty. He read the final report. No cause of loss. No battle recorded. Just numbers. Ships deployed. 50 ships returned. 4 crew missing. Unknown cause. Unidentified. There was no way to explain it. No footage. No logs. No evidence. Just fear. And now, even High Command knew the truth. They couldn't fight it. They couldn't hide from it. They couldn't even understand it. They had sent the strongest force in the Empire, and it had taken them in seconds without even trying. Final words that night. Dax stood alone on the observation deck. He looked at the stars. At the darkness between them. At the place where something lived. Something ancient. Something that didn't need weapons, didn't need armies, didn't need to understand, because it already knew. It had always known. And now, so did they. The stars still shone, but now they felt like eyes watching from a distant, silent, cold. And knowing, back at the heart of the Galactic Empire, panic had begun to spread like fire in dry grass. The failed mission of the massive Armada wasn't just a military disaster, it was a collapse of confidence. For the first time in centuries, the Empire had sent its full might against an unknown enemy, and lost without even landing a single blow. And now, no one knew what to do. Silence from the top. The Emperor hadn't spoken. Not a word. No address. No statement. No emergency broadcast. That silence alone was enough to terrify the people. Commander. Dax Virik sat in his office on Imperial Station Theta, staring at the flood of reports coming in from across the Empire. Civil unrest. Emergency evacuations. Failed trade routes. Entire colonies going dark. He rubbed his temples. This wasn't just fear. It was chaos. Lieutenant Mara entered, her face pale. I just came from High Command, she said quietly. They're gone. Dax looked up. Gone? She nodded. All. Senior officers, the council chamber is empty. No message. No sign of struggle. Just Gone. Dax stood slowly. You mean, they vanished, she whispered. Like the ships. Silence filled the room. Outside the window, the stars burned quietly, but somewhere far away, something was listening. Watching. Taking. Fear takes over across the empire. News of the missing leaders broke like a wave. First came the questions. Where? Did they go? Was it taken by the same thing? Is the empire finished? Then came the fear. Colonies declared independence overnight. Military bases locked down. Trade collapsed as pilots refused to fly near certain zones. Families tried to flee deeper into known space only to find that even the safest sectors were not safe anymore, because now, it knew them all. A new message appeared. On every channel. Not just military, not just civilian. Everywhere. Even in private messages, even in dreams, you are many. We will see you soon. People didn't know what it meant, but they knew it wasn't a promise. It was a warning. Desperation grows on the streets of core worlds. Protests turned violent. Civilians demanded answers. Soldiers demanded orders. Leaders demanded help, but there was none. Imperial media tried to control the narrative. We are investigating the disappearances. There is no immediate threat. The empire remains strong. But no one believed it, because everyone knew the truth. The empire wasn't strong. It was weak, and worse. It was seen. Pilot Joran Vale, the only survivor from the Airbus, was pulled from isolation for questioning. Scientists hoped he remembered something, anything, but when they found him, he wasn't speaking. He just stared at the wall, whispering the same words over and over. It doesn't need to come here. It already is. The last message that night. Dax sat alone in the command center. He watched as more reports came in. Another colony had gone silent. Another fleet had vanished. Another message had appeared, this time not just on screens. In the sky above the capital. World. Written in light across the stars. Everyone saw it. Every planet. Every ship. Every person. You have been marked. Dax closed his eyes. He didn't need to ask what it meant. He already knew. They weren't just being watched anymore. They were being counted, one by one. Soon, it would be done. And then something would happen. Something final. End of hope back in his quarters. Dax opened a secure file. It contained everything he had learned, every report, every log, every whisper from survivors. He sent it to every remaining officer he trusted. Then he closed the file. There was nothing left to do. No plan. No weapon. No escape. Just waiting for the next message. Waiting for the next disappearance. Waiting for the end. Because now, even the strongest minds in the empire understood one simple truth. They were not alone, they were not powerful, and they were not safe. The stars still burned, but now they felt like memories, fading, distant, and wrong. Back on Imperial Station Theta, Commander Dax Virik sat in the dim light of the central archive. Around him, ancient records flickered on broken screens. Dust covered old data slates. Forgotten knowledge waited to be read again. He wasn't looking for weapons. Or defenses or escape routes. He was looking for truth, and that truth had been buried long ago. The search for forgotten knowledge. Lieutenant Mara entered quietly, holding a worn data chip. I found something, she said. Dax looked up. From where? The deep vault, she replied. It was sealed after the last war. No one's opened it in centuries. She placed the chip on the console, a file loaded, old text, broken, symbols, faded voices. Then a name appeared. The eraser. Dax frowned. What is this? Mara tapped the command. A voice began to speak, an old recording from a forgotten time. Before the Empire rose, before we reached the stars, there were warnings. Stories passed down by those who came before. They told of a force that did not fight, that did not speak, that only removed. Dax leaned forward. Removed what? Mara met his eyes. Everything. The legend speaks, the recording continued. They called it many names, the Unmaker, the Silence, the End that walks alone. But all stories agreed on one thing. It does not come with anger. It does not attack with hate. It simply sees what should not be and makes it gone. Dax stared at the screen. That's not a weapon. Mara shook her head. No, it's worse than that. Another line appeared on the screen. It does not choose. It only cleans. Dax stood slowly. You're saying it doesn't even see us as enemies? Mara whispered. No, we're just noise. And it's here to silence us. Echoes across Time More files loaded. Old reports, long forgotten logs. Dax read them quickly. One entry caught his eye. Year 317. After flight, Colony Delta 9 vanished without trace. No distress call, no wreckage, only silence. Survivors reported seeing a shadow that walked without feet. Another, Starship Vigilant lost near Sector X4, final message. It's not dark out there. It's empty. And another, we tried to run, we tried to hide. It didn't follow, it didn't need to. It saw us, and then we were gone. Dax closed his eyes. This has happened before. Mara nodded many times. Just no one listened. The truth is not new. Back in the war room, Dax addressed the few remaining officers. We thought we were dealing with an enemy, he said. Something new. Something unknown. He paused, but we were wrong. He turned to the main screen. An image appeared. Not of a ship. Not of a monster. Just darkness and a single line beneath it. This is not the first time. One officer asked, if it's been here before, why are we still here? Dax answered softly, because it left, for some reason. It stopped. Silence filled the room. Then Mara spoke. What if it's not done cleaning yet? Everyone looked at her. Because deep down they already knew. Fear becomes faith across the Empire. Panic had turned into something else. Not just fear, not just chaos. Faith. Cults. Formed overnight. People claimed to have seen visions. Lights in the sky. Voices in their dreams. One phrase echoed across every channel. It is not evil. It is only doing its job. Some believed it was a god. Others believed it was a machine. A few whispered something darker. What if it's not alive? What if it's just part of space? Children stopped sleeping. Pilots refused to fly. Scientists gave up. Because now everyone understood. They couldn't stop it. They couldn't fight it. They couldn't even understand it. All they could do was wait until it decided they were done. Final warning that night. Dax stood alone in the observation deck. He watched the stars. At first, they looked normal, then one blinked out, then another. Then more. Not exploding. Fading. Just gone. Like someone had turned them off, like someone was cleaning. Again, Dax whispered, it's not coming. He turned away from the window. It's already here. The stars were still, but not peaceful. They felt like memories fading. Broken and wrong. Back on Imperial Station Theta, Commander Dax Viereck stood in the dim glow of the war room. Around him, silence had taken over. Not just from fear, but from the lack of people. Officers gone. Leaders vanished. Even the air felt heavier now. There was no plan. No weapon. No escape. Only one last idea, a final mission, and everyone knew it would end in death. The volunteers. Lieutenant Mara entered quietly, holding a list. We have them, she said. Dax looked up. All volunteers? She nodded. They know what's waiting out there. He took the list. Names scrolled across the screen. Pilots. Engineers. Scientists. Some young, some old. All willing to die. Not for glory. Not for revenge, but for understanding. Mara leaned over his shoulder. This isn't a rescue mission. It's not even a war mission, Dax whispered. It's a message. She met his eyes. What do you mean? He tapped the console. We've been trying to fight it, hide from it, understand it. But we've never done the one thing that might work. Mara frowned. What's that? Dax looked at her, going to it. Final preparations. The ship was small, too. Small. It wasn't built for battle. Or survival. It was built for one purpose. To get close and record what happened when it struck. Inside the launch bay, the crew gathered, quiet, calm, brave. Captain Rallin stood with her team. 10 people who knew they wouldn't be coming back. Dax approached her. You don't have to do this. She smiled without humor. We do. Or no one will ever know what we're facing. He handed her a sealed data drive. This has everything we've learned, every file, every warning. If you get close enough, send it back. She took it without a word. Then she turned to her crew. "All right," she said. "We leave now. We fly straight into Sector 7X. We stay long enough to see what happens when it notices us." Her voice didn't shake. "We die knowing the truth." One by one, they stepped onto the ship. No goodbyes. No tears. Just silence. Into the dark, the ship lifted off. Engines roared. It vanished into space. Toward Sector 7X, toward the unknown. Back at the station, Dax watched the signal flicker on the main screen. Tracking beacon active. Life signs green. Distance increasing. Time past. Minutes. Hours. Then a pulse. Weak. Like a heartbeat. "Contact detected," said Tactical Officer Lyra. "Unknown source." Dax stared at the screen. Then the signal changed. The ship's camera feed came online. Static. Then a view of space. Empty. Dark. Then something moved. Not fast. Not loud. But present. Watching. Waiting. Then the lights inside the cockpit flickered. One by one. Off. The voices started. Not real. Recorded. No, they sounded too close. Too clear. Captain Ralene's voice came through the comms. "It knows we're here." Silence. Then another voice. "Not human. Not machine. Just sound. You are seen again." Dax gripped the edge of the console. Then the final message came. Ralene's voice. Com. Clear. Final. "If this gets back..." She paused. Then, "Tell our families we didn't go quietly." The signal ends. Then the screen went black. No explosion. No scream. No warning. Just gone. The tracking beacon blinked once, then faded. Lyra whispered, "They're not coming back." Dax closed his eyes. "No," he said softly. "But maybe they gave us a chance." He turned to Mara. "Pull the last data burst from the ship. Everything it sent before it vanished." She nodded. As she worked. Dax looked out the window. At the stars. At the darkness between them. At the place where something lived. Something ancient. Something that didn't hate, didn't fight, didn't speak. Just was, and now it had seen them all. The stars were gone, not hidden by clouds or distance, just gone. Back at Imperial Station Theta, Commander Dax Virick sat in the dim glow of the command deck. The final data burst from Captain Ralene's ship had arrived silent and cold in his hands. It wasn't much, just fragments. But it was all they had left. Lieutenant Mara stood beside him, eyes locked on the screen. "Will it help?" she asked. Dax didn't answer right away. He opened the file, and the truth began to play. The last recording static filled the screen. Then a flicker. The inside of the cockpit. Dark. Captain. Ralene's voice came through first. "This is Captain Rallen of the Last Light. If you're hearing this, we didn't come back." The hinder of the crew worked in silence. Some stared at their consoles. Others just watched the dark outside the window. Then a whisper, not from anyone on board, from outside. "You are seen again." One of the crew whispered, "It's not speaking, it's just knowing us." The lights flickered, then something moved. Not fast, not loud, but real. On the camera feed, a shape formed in the blackness beyond the window. It wasn't solid. It wasn't dark. It was like absence. Like space itself had forgotten how to exist. Then one of the scientists spoke. "It's not a thing. It's a function." Rowland turned to him. "Explain." He looked shaken, like a virus or a firewall. "It doesn't hate us. It doesn't even notice us as people. It just sees something wrong." He swallowed hard. "And removes it." Silence filled the cabin. Then the ship's systems began to fail. Lights. Engines. COMFs. One by one. As if the ship itself was being unmade. Ralene's voice came through again. "If this gets back..." "Tell them the truth." She paused. "Tell them." "It's not coming." Her voice dropped. "It's already here." The truth no one wanted back at the station. Dax closed the file. His hands trembled. Mara looked at him. "What now?" He didn't move. "There is no now. There's only what we do before it finishes." She frowned. "Finishes what?" Dax met her eyes. "Cleaning." Outside the window, the stars still blinked out one by one, not exploding. Not dying. Dust vanishing, like someone had decided they didn't belong anymore, across the Empire. Reports flooded in. Colonies gone silent. Ships missing. People disappearing without a trace. No war. No battle. No warning. Just absence. Fear becomes acceptance. Some tried to run. They flew deeper into space. But it found them. Others tried to hide. In deep bunkers. Underground cities. Far from the stars. But it didn't need to follow. It saw them, and that was enough eventually. People stopped fighting. Stopped asking questions. Stopped hoping, because there was nothing left to hope for. Children whispered about shadows that didn't move with light. Pilots refused to fly unless they could see every corner of their ships. Scientists gave up trying to explain it because there was no explanation. It wasn't alive. It wasn't evil. It wasn't even aware. It just was. And now it knew where they were. The final message that night. Dax stood alone on the observation deck. He looked at the sky. At the stars that were still burning. For now. Then a new message appeared across every screen on the station. No signal. No transmission. Just there. You were noise. Now you are quiet. A pause. Then one last line. Thank you. Dax exhaled. Not in fear, not in anger. In understanding. It wasn't hatred. It wasn't revenge. It was just order. And now the universe was clean again. End of the Empire. Back in his quarters, Dax sat down. He recorded one final message. Not for High Command. Not for the Emperor. Not for the people. For whoever might come after. If anyone did. He looked into the lens, spoke clearly. If you hear this, don't try to fight it. Don't try to talk to it. Don't even look for it. He paused. Because it's not your enemy. His voice dropped. It's just not your universe anymore. He ended the recording. Then he stood, walked to the window, watched the stars blink out, and waited. Until he was next